Okay, this is the Board of Public Works meeting, Monday, November 22nd, 2021, 6 PM. We're at the Library Program Room, Library Plaza. Tonight, we have an appointment on abatement issue.
Yep.
I got that. 3 action items. A board discussion on snow plowing. A vote to accept the minutes of November 8th, 2021. Superintendent's report, a couple items. And our next meeting will be December 13th, 2021.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Anything else on the agenda?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's a Monday before Thanksgiving.
Anything else that
Okay,
you're gonna speak?
I move to accept the
something
agenda.
on,
good.
The
All right, so
road
it's 6
policy.
o'clock.
Right.
Let's go to the action items.
You know, he's only got 2 things.
Dave, you want to start the first one?
Yeah. In the enclosure, I have 2 draft letters. The addressee at the top looks all the same, which is gentlemen and ladies, DEP, DPU, DTE, Eversource, Comcast, Verizon. The first letter in your pile is actually, when you get into the text on the lines 1, 2, 3, and 4, are specifically addressed to Verizon, Eversource, Comcast. The second letter basically is going to asking the DPE, DEP rather, DTE and DPU to interact with the staffs of Verizon, Comcast, Eversource, and other such entities that might need to be made aware of the municipal code.
Okay.
And what I'm looking for tonight is basically the board's input and acceptance, revised if necessary, for the context of the letter, because I have to get the actual addressees that this will go to all around. And we're also sending it to the planning board, zoning, Board of Appeals, the building inspector, the Board of Health, the facilities director, governor, state rep, state senator, and state board of health.
Town administrator,
I'm sorry, John?
to the town administrator too?
Yeah, well, my intent would be, this is formatted for us.
Okay.
I had discussions with the town administrator when I was asking, hey, how come they haven't revised it on the website code yet? Because it's not, the language has not been inputted that was voted at town meeting yet. But he was of the mind that because this deals with PFAS, and it's of interest to both boards, that it would go out under both board signatures ultimately, which I have no problem with.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
So, for the listening audience, it's a draft letter from the Board of Public Works to various parties relating to what we voted on at town meeting for the PFAS regulations in Town Code 285-29.1.
Actually, what was voted at town meeting, that was incorrect on my part, although when I get in there, it's 19.1.
19.1.
Yeah, okay. And I will read the language, just as the insertion of the language is the Pound Department of Public Works Superintendent, Water Division Supervisor, and Town Engineer shall be contacted by any entity seeking to perform any maintenance or construction activities within or adjacent to the 400-foot radius of any town well, the so-called wellhead common protection zone commonly referred to one. These activities shall include but are not limited to pole replacement. I'm reading the wrong one. Yeah, that's the wrong one, sorry. That was in 2019. Basically, we instituted a PFAS regulation that mirrors that language, except it reaches to both Zone 1 and Zone 2, which is all part of the Water Resource Protection District. And the idea is to keep these forever chemicals out of our water system to at least the extent where we're at now, which is below the regulatory level of 20 parts per trillion. And that is,
So, okay,
that is the intent of the language and how it will be implemented.
Good call, Dave. Good
so
call.
John, do you have any comments on this?
No, I think it's well-written and something we should really,
All right, I would like to take a week to review it, because, one is, I'm not sure if I can sign it.
My opinion would be you might have to recuse yourself.
Right, I
because you
understand
work
that.
for DTE.
So I'd like to give me some time to ask my counsel at work.
If I might suggest when you're asking him, sir,
Yeah.
I would think you can sign everything but the DEP letter. Because these will go to individual addressees.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And I think it's a state Department of Health, public health.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay, I'll correct that.
yeah, it's a public health. And there's, you know, and we probably have to do Mass DEP also.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I will address those.
let's approve it in concept, but not in actual language. How's that?
That doesn't work for me.
What do we,
Let's wait 2
I mean,
weeks.
I will be glad to take any corrections you note and revise it accordingly.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I need some time, though.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
we're not going anywhere right away with it anyway.
Okay.
I'm sure the selectmen will contemplate it. for a
not an
while.
ASAP?
No, I mean,
Okay.
right now, I don't know, did we receive the third set of results, Tom? I know they were due to come in this week. I thought Paul
I
told
have
me.
not seen them yet.
Okay, I'll have to check, I'll check with Paul. We are waiting on the most recent set of testing, which Backley was action sometime in October. It's finally coming in for the results.
Okay.
One of the things, that I want to proceed with when we get into dealing with the various town entities is prepare something for educational outreach to people. While it's difficult to get a list of the actual products by brand name and stuff like that, we do have the list of the characteristics that our people, when they're sampling, can't use, and we can use that to persuade people as part of a flyer. I think we should incorporate it into the annual report for water quality that we do. And I want to do an outreach in particular to the high school, middle school, and Furnaceburg complex, just because they are upgrading of the well sites, and we should try to get them to avoid using any products that might bear PFAS to the extent they can.
It's gonna be difficult to police. I understand the thought process, though.
But on a voluntary basis, if
Right.
people are educated, hopefully they'll
Well, the better
respond.
we do education, the better off we are.
And that's where we got to go. And I want to start with the school
Okay.
system.
So let's
Thanks, Dave.
put that on the agenda continue that on the agenda for.
The 13th?
The 13th.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, the next one is contract
Yeah, you can put them inside.
2021-02 amendment. Number 1, landfill monitoring with Weston and Sampson. This is Paul Kompovich, which Rod Parcasino is in the audience, who's going to handle.
Okay, I will do that. So we have a budget in our landfill, engineering service budget, engineering service budget, I believe $10,000. And, between,
Need that one.
last year and this year, we had a task to.
Put those in.
Put them in, okay.
Yeah.
I guess it was part of the photovoltaic investigation and permitting, whatever, but we needed to repair a couple of, three, I believe, gas vents at the landfill. And it required permitting and work with the DEP, landfill section, solid waste section, I should say. So the amount of money that we had in that budget didn't cover the amount of money that we needed to complete the permitting and the various requirements, health and safety plan, and some of the construction inspection, whatnot, preparation, and submittal to DEP for the construction certification report. So we're asking to supplement that original 10,000 with another 10,000. I think the amount we have in expenses will be about $8,000 to $9,000. So we'll have just over $1,000 left in there for any other letters. So we're recommending that we authorize an additional $10,000 to cover those expenses from Weston and Sampson during the as part of their annual contract, but specifically the work that was done to replace or repair the vents for the cap at the landfill.
So are we doing this work just because we're going to put solar up there?
No, not just because, but it was one of those deficiencies identified that had to be replaced.
Is that
There were
something that-
3 failed vents, and they needed to be replaced.
Yeah, okay. Is that something that we can be asking the people putting the
No.
solar things up on?
I don't know about that.
No, the discussions that I recall walking it with Paul and also talking with the town administrator and the PV folks is, the cap, whatever the cap deficiencies were before construction had to be remediated, before their construction of the photovoltaic field, had to be remediated. And DEP, you are supposed to be maintaining those off-gas systems, and when they collapse or fail, we should have been there sooner.
Right.
Yep.
I did go out there a couple of times myself. Paul checked in with Diane to see when they were there.
Yeah.
their time.
I surveyed it a couple of times myself, because I was dropping off yard waste or doing something else when they were working.
So, so it ended up costing us about 8,000 or plus more. So
Yeah.
Paul's recommending we augment that budget, $10,000 to get us through.
Yep.
So, board members, John?
Just like off-the-wall question here. The state has $5 billion in their coffers, free cash. So why are the towns, cities paying for permits to the different state agencies? Doesn't make sense to me, because we don't pay for permits for plumbing or electrical or things of that nature.
Yeah, I don't know if we're paying for a permit,
But
but
it says-
we're paying to apply and to coordinate the effort with DEP. It's an application.
Is it a fee, what, some type of a fee? Because it says Weston is something, prepare for permits and various other work. I mean, it's just like off-the-wall question, I mean,
Right, I don't believe there's a direct fee to the town, it's just that,
the money's to
the
Weston,
assistance that we're getting from Weston and Sampson,
to,
covers the
okay.
engineering services. that-
I understand.
It's for them to prepare the certification.
Complete
And
the
they're-
application.
And they're getting so wrapped up in the detail. DEP is so involved in the infill cap repairs. They weren't as bad as they are now. So they've really,
They're coming down hard,
they're really anal about what they want.
yeah.
One,
I hope they keep up their good work.
Okay.
I do have a comment.
Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I sent an email to both Tom and to Rod. One of my negatives with Weston and Sampson goes back to that they do not document into a spreadsheet the readings that have been taken and the results, and when we were walking down the 965 site with Jeff Alberti, I brought that up to him. I don't know, I think you weren't on board yet, Tom. I think you were in the interval. Okay. Yeah, I remember Sean being there, but basically, I took task to Jeff. I said, this is one of the problems I got with you folks, is that, that's the kind of thing that I can't believe the engineering staff is not automatically taking test results and putting them into some kind of spreadsheet so that you can look at a trend rather than having to go report to report to report to see the results of whatever's coming in the sampling wells and stuff like that. And he basically said, no, we should be doing that. And, and I mean, I'd like to come back at Weston and Sampson and ask them if they in fact have implemented that, because if they have not, it's going to be important going forward. If the PV field goes as it put up, we're going to be dealing with a situation where, we're at scratch zero, but we might have had a downward trend, and all of a sudden we pick up an upward trend.
Right.
But if they haven't documented that in a ready fashion, we're not going to be able to retrieve that quickly. That'll fall back to engineering to have to beat up on it, and it should be something they should be doing as a matter of course for the inspection, as far as I'm
They haven't
concerned.
provided the most current. Supposedly, we have it in our P drive for up through 2020. Their report does provide historical, but it is very difficult.
It's a text.
to flip through the various graphs
So,
and to develop a
so they, I
trend.
mean, I think as part of this, the question I have, I'll give you as a support tonight for it, but as far as I'm concerned, let's find out, are they doing it? And if not, why aren't they? And thirdly would be, what's the cost? And,
So-
can engineering staff pick up on it instead?
So Dave,
Yes.
on the, so we're looking for a historical spreadsheet.
Yeah.
List out the normal stuff that happens all the time. So for groundwater, for soil gas.
Yeah.
For elevations, we should have a spreadsheet that says, and it's all the same, just have the numbers and just fill in the numbers. It's not that hard to do.
They have it in a spreadsheet, and they
So they should be providing it to us.
provide it in their report.
Yeah.
We just want a flash drive
Yeah.
with that documentation,
Right.
so we can look at trends.
Yeah.
You know, we can graph them. or
Right,
whatever.
right.
In 2009 circa timeframe, there was a new DEP inspector involved with this stuff who wanted us to reactivate the construction wells, monitoring wells.
So let's-
And I took all of the reports at that time as superintendent, put them into a spreadsheet and went back with a letter saying why, the trends are all down. And basically, his boss pulled his horns back in and.
So let's approve, are you okay with
I'm okay with this.
conditionally approving this change order?
I'm okay with approving the change order, but I want to make sure that we're getting what we need. And I mean,
We'll
sending a
hold
flash
off
drive
on
is nothing.
documentation until we get it.
Okay,
We can
fine.
do that.
I mean, if you go to the, anything, you go to your doctor, they give you a spreadsheet. I mean, they do it, it's on the web.
They give
But if
you
you- we-
spreadsheets,
we-
but just don't give us the raw data, the digital data.
So we need that. I agree wholeheartedly, because how else just don't give me one number, what's on either side of it?
And they do, they give either side, but it's in, 5 pages back, and you can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare.
Well, you-
5 years ago, and
So why don't you make the motion, Dave?
Well, I'll read Rod's motion, okay. Motion to approve amendment number 1 to contract 2021-02 professional landfill environmental monitoring and reporting services with Weston and Sampson Engineers Incorporated for the additional amount of $10,000, and to authorize the chairman and designated member, to execute the contract documents when they have been prepared.
Yeah, and add,
And to instruct the staff to follow up on making sure we get a real spreadsheet that gives us our data from one side of a spread paper to the other.
so we want solid documentations in a spreadsheet, so that it can be, you can see the historical trends.
Right.
Makes good sense.
Okay.
Second,
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, with the noted. Okay.
Sorry to add to your burdens, Rod.
not a problem.
Okay, number 3, engineering service, Dyke Road, sluice gate,
Okay, you got that,
water main and sewer crossing replacement, design and permitting.
you got that late in your file, I did finally get it out, but I've been working right to the minute.
okay,
Yeah, Tom told us you were still on the phone when he left.
thanks, Rod.
So, what we do, we're trying to get the ARPA-funded projects moving, so that we can meet whatever construction deadlines we have. We've got to get it done by like 2023, I think. And this shouldn't be a problem, but like I said, we're trying to move things along if we can. However, when I just got this proposal from Environmental Partners Group, who has been doing the engineering service, we did complete the temporary structure, support structures in the tie gate on Dyke Road to support a deteriorated wall, the center wall that was a bearing wall supposedly that needed to be supported. We did put that temporary structure in this summer. That was like the major emergency work that we needed to do. We also have an exposed water main that the outer jacket, which is a steel jacket, is totally deteriorated, and that outer jacket is what supports the pipe that spans the 20 feet. So we need to get on that as well, and we've got some ARPA funding, so this is the perfect opportunity to try to take care of that before that becomes an issue. It's in very tough shape. There might be a picture of that, I think, in your package. It's black and white, but
Yeah, I saw that.
You got a graphic of it, yeah, so to speak.
yeah. So that's in rough shape, and that requires, it doesn't show it, but we had shown it before. It's just eaten away. And there's a couple of nylon straps that are holding the whole thing together, and those should be solid straps, and it's to the concrete, and then maybe re-anchored. There's work that has to be done there. And the ARPA funds are applicable to water and sewer. So even though this is a culvert, more or less, because of the utilities, we can apply the funding to repair these, so.
So where-
The sewer also goes through the culvert as well.
Yep.
Exterior of that sewer pipe that goes through the culvert, I believe is a sleeve. That looks like it's in okay condition. We want to check the sewer pipe going through and see if it can be lined. We'll line it if we can. We'll just put some of that CIPP lining, epoxy lining in there if we can do that. So that's the major purpose, is to permit, get plans, contact DOT, Mass DOT. They get involved with this because it's a bridge structure or culvert, depending on what they view it as. And they got heavily involved with the temporary structure. That took some time to get through that. So we want to try to jump on that because it does take time for them to review.
What do you think of the estimate of construction for this?
I'm not sure, but I think, it shouldn't be that bad. We're talking about 20 feet of pipe. It's gonna be insulated. I think the way to do it is to put a steel sleeve, cut out what we have, dig on either sides of the wing walls to replace the pipe approaching. Maybe a steel sleeve, insulated. Cut that out, slide one end in, slide the other end in, so you have support of the wing walls, and then run an HDPE pipe in between, and then connect it to the existing pipe. So you're probably talking about 3 weeks worth of work, maybe in that range, 4 weeks tops,
Time-wise,
time-wise. So
dollar-wise,
yeah, I would say a couple $100,000.
so about 400 grand?
Does that sound right?
Yeah, roughly.
But we're looking at 300,000-400,000?
More than that.
Excuse me?
300 to 400?
200.
It's between 250 and 3, I thought, was the original cost
Right.
estimate. And we submitted it as a request through the ARP funding.
We do have a bypass, though, so it's gonna be more, that's right. We do have to bypass that wastewater, because that could add another 50 plus
If we have to bypass, yes.
if we have to bypass.
But Rod and I had a discussion today about, maybe what we can do there is to do it late at night,
Right.
plug it, camera it, and have the Vector standing by to, for any,
For the inspection, for
Being a
the
man.
installation, we will need a bypass.
yes.
And that'll be at least 50 grand on top of that.
Right, so it's $400,000.
Yeah, something like that. And I haven't really got a real good
Construction
estimate
estimate.
from them yet. But
One
I
of the
will.
things we also discussed was that we would hang the main rather than put it through the dike, through the sluiceway. So we would come up on either side,
So-
hang it on the side of the dike.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that
Above ground.
this came through as a lump sum approach, and I'm asking it to be time and material
Yep, saw that.
basis. I don't think we have to do the level of permitting that, if we can stay out of the water and not have to put any,
Right.
dams or anything in the water, then we can eliminate a lot of the permitting effort. If we can stay with, basically you're replacing in-kind, we can probably file under a utilities type permit, which they have exemptions. And this might minimize the effort, the engineering effort as well. We might get away with like an RDA, request for termination of applicability, as opposed to
Yep.
a full NOI. Or we can amend the existing. And then maybe if those flags are still there, we might not even have to reflag it. We've got to go out
So
and check.
do we have a permit for working out there already?
We have a permit already that's still valid.
So we can amend
We'll
it?
Be able to amend that. So the effort, they're putting in worst case, we're gonna try to amend that, do the camera work, maybe amend some of that permitting effort, we can get some of that cost down.
Okay, so it's better to go with time and material basis.
I think so.
Okay.
But either way, you still have a cost not to exceed.
Not to exceed, but on a time and material basis, not a lump sum. And you have a list of labor hours, costs?
They'll
on
provide
that? They'll
that.
provide that, okay.
Yeah.
Dave, any?
I have no questions.
John?
No, no questions really. It's something we have to do to keep our infrastructure in good repair, so
Okay.
I'm all
I'll make the
for it.
motion to authorize amendment to contract 2019-13 for engineering services for replacing the water main crossing and lining the sewer crossing for Dyke Road tie gate structure on a time and material basis for an amount not to exceed $82,200, and have the chairman or designee will sign the change order when the documents are prepared.
Second? Yep,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we don't want to add anything to this one,
Aye.
right?
not on this one.
No, as is. Okay, thank you.
Where is that?
Okay.
No, that's yours.
Our appointment's here. Is that our appointment in?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, no. Right.
So I got
So he didn't show.
6/26. We still have it.
Yep,
Let's
we've got
have
a
a
minute.
discussion on the upcoming snow plowing season. Does everyone have their
There's
plows
no-
ready?
Tom is gonna do that.
Tom?
I put that on the agenda.
What am I asked to do here?
We want, Tom, I put it on the agenda. I want to make sure that the enterprise fund employees are paid out of either the general fund or the snow plowing fund, and
Okay.
not an offset charge. It should be something that we should be able to transfer the monies.
Okay.
How's it being, what are we doing now with it? You
Right
know,
now,
well, last year.
the only payment that we pay now is out of the overtime. Comes out of snow and ice.
I know that,
That's
for-
always been the way.
but during the day,
During the day, it's usually, they're on their straight time,
for ratepayers?
ratepayers.
That's
And
not, that can't be. We went over this many years ago when it was gonna be changed. So the ratepayers are not paying to having the town plowed.
Right.
So how do we stop that?
If they're working, they get paid when there's snow and ice, they go on snow and ice. If there's a water main break, they come off of
course.
snow and ice,
Of course,
and they go back on water department time.
of course. I understand that.
Yeah.
That's,
Right.
that's normal business.
Yeah,
So when they're plowing,
yeah.
they're paid for out of the snow and ice.
Not on the regular time.
Well, then
just
that
on
can't
the
be.
overtime.
That you can't-
Correct,
you can't-
Dan?
I thought we were tracking their hours,
We are tracking their hours.
but there weren't a lot of daytime snowstorms over the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
So, yeah, but,
Right, so the storms that were happening, they were happening after the hours, and those would be in charge directly to snow and ice. And I understand that we were tracking hours that they plowed during the day, and then we would use it as a chargeback.
Right.
On an offset.
An offset.
Yeah.
so we're using it as an offset.
Correct.
Yes,
And it's not being challenged by the powers to be?
it hasn't been.
So do we
There
know what,
hasn't been that many,
Well,
well, we could have, I know that, but we could have the same we had in 2015 and have a huge
Yeah.
bill to the ratepayers.
right, and that's just it, we haven't had to present them with a big snow bill for plowing during the day. So I'm sure when we do, we'll have some pushback for it.
Oh, no. Then we gotta straighten this out now. We gotta go to them, to the Board of Selectmen and say, listen, any monies that are paid during straight time, paid back to the ratepayers through the offsets, before we come to that crossroads with them. So we need a meeting with the Board of Selectmen, or the staff needs to meet. You, Tom, you need to.
Staff
bring it out to the
This
town.
this is an indirect issue. It's not it has to be with the chairman.
It's not an indirect. This is, you can't spend money from the ratepayers' fees to plow the town's roads, period. You can't do it. It's not allowed under 53 E F and a half. You can't do it.
I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth on this,
You can't
John.
do it. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to tell you, you
I know
can't
that,
do it.
but I mean, town council has told us that there's infrastructure in the streets.
I don't
that,
care what he says, it
all right,
doesn't matter what he
so,
says.
Okay,
That's just an opinion of, he's just a town employee,
all right.
Just because he says that, that's not in the enterprise fund manual. You cannot spend money, the ratepayers' monies, to plow the town roads during straight time. Can't be.
Okay.
All I would say to that, John, is that we have had these discussions with them. And when we talk with them, they give us kind of the, okay, yeah. So we bring it to their attention. I'm sure that the town administrator and the town treasurer at the time did not bring it to the Board of Selectmen. So really, to progress the way you want to go, I think there would need to be a discussion between either the chairman of each board to come to that agreement, or the board to meet.
There's no agreement to come to. We just have to go back to the state.
I don't know what you'd want us to do, Joe, John, if it was snowing.
Well,
during the day.
I want the enterprise funds run according to the enterprise fund manual. All right? That's how it should be run. That's how it is. That's the
Okay,
law.
But what you're saying is, if it's a snowstorm during the day and the water department can't go out and plow the roads.
No, they can plow the roads. We just want to be compensated by the snow budget. What's wrong with that?
I think,
Why do the ratepayers have to pay?
if I might, John?
Go right ahead.
They don't
Yeah.
ultimately pay, it would be through a chargeback, but you're telling me that you have to bill it directly to the snow and ice.
You
which the
just-
town
you
accountant
just-
and the town treasurer
You- You'd be agreeable to offsets, correct?
I would agree to offsets, correct.
Okay.
But you just mentioned if we have a fairly good size offset, they're gonna say, well, we're not gonna pay it.
But I think the statement that Tom started to make, I think there's a procedure to take here, John, that's my opinion, is that we give the two chairmen a chance to interact with each other, and find out whether in fact or not there's agreement, or whether we've got a battle in front of us, and then proceed down the fact that the regulations state, this, thus and so. Now, we do know town council will come down with a different opinion. We can try again to appeal to
So
the
why can't we
DOR,
do
but
this?
that's usually lost
Can-
ground.
Why can't we do this?
No, that's my opinion.
Have a statement saying what the rules are for utilizing town equipment, especially sewer, water, and
Enterprise.
trash, enterprise
Yeah.
vehicles during snow emergencies.
Plus labor.
And how we're going to.
And labor, too.
How we're going to fund it.
Yep.
Right, have a document, and send it to
Okay, I think-
sent from the board
From
to,
the board.
from our board to the selectmen, and set the rules up front.
Well, let me,
I think that's a good starting point, John.
yeah, it is, but let me say this. In the agreement, it was increased from 4% to 5% of the snow budget for the vehicles. We have a 5% of the total snow budget, say it's 400,000, we have 20 grand comes back for our vehicles. Just the vehicles, I'm talking labor.
I understand, yeah.
See, we have a 5% kickback that's agreed to. Remember, it was 4
Strictly on capital,
5?
but-
Yeah.
Capital
so it's-
equipment.
Yeah, for the equipment. So really, what we want is the labor. You can live with the equipment unless it gets too much. So could you meet,
Well, I think,
just have that letter just for labor?
yeah, I would think if, we get it.
So what I'm saying
You want to
is-
have Tom draft a letter for us?
Yeah, why don't we have drafted a letter, say what the rules are? I mean, we have some of it in the indirect documentation, the methodology that we did.
That's the 4 or
But-
5%.
Yeah, but the thing is, we should actually spell it out exactly what we're looking for. How, during the day, if it's a snow emergency, and that we pull in, and there should be an accounting, we have a good accounting system of how many hours are being done. It not just as a offset, it could be a direct charge, and our
That's
fallback would be the offset. Yeah, but at least, and I agree with John, we shouldn't be taking it on the chin.
Correct. So Tom, will you?
So let's document it up front, versus after the fact, put it up front, and we'll see how it goes. I mean,
Get the
otherwise, if we
rejection,
say
then go.
nothing, they're gonna just go, say same old, same old.
Same old, yep.
Is that okay, John?
Yeah, that's fine, Excuse me,
Works for
that's
me.
why I'm bringing it up now before the snow flies, so that.
So the
that we
big,
don't-
the big question is, are we going to have enough contractors this year for snow plowing? Everybody's having the same problem.
Everyone's having the same problem, and we're in the process now of getting, we've sent out notices to all of our previous contractors. We do know that there's 8 or 9 of them that aren't coming back.
Yeah.
So,
So,
we picked up a few more. We've actually picked up a couple of spreaders too, so.
yeah, so the bottom line is we need to have a document that goes to the selectmen saying, this is our plan for snow plowing. This is what we're gonna use our town vehicles out, and we'll use our town vehicles. If they're enterprise, we're gonna charge them back. This is what we're gonna use for contractors, and basically just lay it out.
All right,
It's not
can I
the-
But the
just
plan-
Excuse
add,
me, it's not the contractors. It's the
No,
enterprise.
no, I get that. I get
He's talking generally overall. John.
Overall, we have a plan.
Okay,
For the
But I
snow
just
plowing
wanna
in
clarify
general.
with you, John.
all around.
So the equipment we agree is in the 5%.
correct,
You really want to identify how the labor is going to.
correct.
Correct.
That's
And-
all.
But, to aid, Tom, you were just gonna designate Tom to draft the letter?
Yeah, Tom's gonna deliver it.
Okay, but what I was gonna say, John, is your chapter and verse that you're talking about, you could just email it to Tom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and that'll
yeah.
help him out.
Oh, yeah, I'll
also,
send-
just a notice to all ears is that I believe that the indirect policy was already
Voted by the Board of Selectmen?
by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, but this is not an indirect issue.
Yeah.
This goes beyond indirect.
Well,
This is how the enterprise funds are operated, under
Right, but,
53 and a half.
right, but under our policy of indirect policy, it encompasses all of this.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Part of it does.
Part of it, but what I
It
mean.
does, the vehicles are there, but not the labor.
It's the la,
And
it's
the
a,
offsets, and the
So-
offsets, so
Yeah.
it does incorporate into the snow policy.
Yeah.
Is the indirects, the offsets.
But
is
we're gonna
all-
put an end to this, because I'm not gonna have the ratepayers paying to plow the town's roads, period. Period. That's.
so the bottom line is if we probably have, we're going over, we're turning the stone over where we've already turned over before. It's
Yeah,
similar.
many times.
The only issue is the labor on the enterprise funds.
Right.
That is still gray. And basically, it's good to have a communication to the selectmen that this is our understanding of how we're going to deal with snow and ice emergencies this year. On overtime, normal.
Yep.
During the time, if if we can't use a contract and we have to use one of our enterprise, we're gonna charge it the labor direct back.
Yeah.
And it's not much has changed, it's just that one caveat on the labor. Is my understanding.
Right,
That's my understanding of all.
yeah.
Okay, so we're not like reinvented the wheel or anything, like,
There is a point that, in the negotiation, Tom, when you're engaged, that I would say raises something that moves outside of the town of Marshfield's control, which is rate equity.
Yeah,
Because we do provide water and sewer service to entities besides the town of Marshfield.
yeah, okay.
And that's a point to raise with them in discussion. Because if it goes to the DPU, they might well turn the table on them.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a comment too. You mentioned, and I'm not finding any fault with you, Tom, but you mentioned Mr. Galvin saying that there's infrastructure below the roads so that the enterprise fund employees would plow it, something of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. So what do we do on overtime? Do we remove the infrastructure? Because snow and ice is paying for it. We have the same water department
No, no,
plowing.
but what the explanation to me is in the course of doing their regular job during the day, by plowing the streets, the infrastructure is under the streets, so that covers the cost of, and the snow plowing that they do in the well sites and stuff.
And you know
You
what?
tell them I got a bridge to sell them, all right?
Okay, but I mean, that argument is a little disingenuous in my opinion, simply because the only time the water or sewer touches the road infrastructure otherwise is when there is a failure and they have to open the road for repair, okay? plowing snow off of roads where there is no repair to be made really is
It's
not in
plowing
the same
snow.
category, and it doesn't fly in my, I'm with John on this one. You know, that town council, I believe, errs in his opinion.
Hallelujah.
I like to put it in writing. I'm a good guy to put the plan and put
Yep.
the items all in writing and get it clear
I agree.
up front. That way at the end, when we start going through this, it's like, we all agreed this up front. And it's not much of a, it's only a minor issue, from what was been proved in the past. But it is a major one when you start talking about labor hours
you have a
during the
big
day
storm.
and taking the hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion on snow plowing for the upcoming season, other than,
I'm fine
are we going to have enough plows from contractors, Tommy?
We're working on that right now.
Okay.
Give me-
And now, do we have a rate structure? Are we
Yes,
changing
we
that?
do.
Are we
voted-
changing it?
No,
We did that.
we voted it last year for the increase.
Okay, so we're not changing, it's the same as last year?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next item is the vote to accept minutes of November 8th, 2021.
We're gonna
We're gonna pass over that.
over, right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
next item is, the floor goes to the superintendent's report.
Yes, on 965 Plain Street, the GC was on site Friday, just, walking around, checking things out, where he's gonna locate his trailers. So I walked with him for a little bit on Friday. He informed me that he would hope that by this week, we will have a preliminary schedule. So we're gonna, the facilities director, who schedules the meetings, is gonna check with Paige to see if they will have that information for us, and if so, we will meet on Wednesday from 11 to 11:30 to go over that schedule. I did have a conversation with the utility sub. He submitted his plans to the health department for their review of the septic system. Once we get the schedule in, we're hoping that, and in talking with the GC super, we're hoping that if the weather is cooperative with us this year, we have a mild winter, we might be able to get a lot accomplished. And so we're hoping that the drainage, maybe the foundation, will all be in. Once the foundation is in, then we can run the gas. Originally, we were going to run the gas, but because there's no foundation, the contractor doesn't want to just leave it flopping out there. Once he installs it, he really needs a foundation to bring the riser up on, so something to support it.
Okay,
So that's pretty much where we're at with Plain Street. We did talk about fencing and stuff like that. He may not put the fence through the parking lot, just use the Jersey barriers. That would be beneficial to us for the maneuverability of the vehicles through the lot. Old Main Street is substantially complete. Street signs are the last items to be installed. We'll do a walkthrough once those, I've driven through the project a number of times over the last week or so, and the grass is really coming in nice. The sidewalks, the crosswalks were done last week. I believe it was Thursday night. Yeah, so it really come out nice, although we did have a resident complain about the lining up of the roadway, which was the whole idea of doing the project because of the threat of accidents, the way that the configuration was. So, we took a very hard look at it. It was recommended from the traffic people that this design was gonna correct the issue up there, and I think they did a nice job.
Yeah, and if I might, Todd, I comment on that because that complaint came through me.
Right.
And, I responded to the person, and I also went back up that same day and hit the intersection in the direction she had taken it, and the bottom line is, it's different. And that's really the issue, it's different than what people are used to. But the line of sight now, when you're walking it, because I parked up at the, by the church there and, walked it, you come down, the line of sight for a pedestrian is much better, and the line of sight for the drivers on the pedestrians at that intersection is markedly better. And, I think that goes a long way. And I remember walking that site, I believe you were there, but I'm not sure, with the young man that ended up working for EPG was a previous planner for that, as I recall.
Yes.
And, the argument and the discussion that followed on that was very clear that that was probably the right way to go, and I don't disagree with it. And I drove through there this afternoon this morning, coming back from hockey, and it looks real good. I think, the areas that aren't complete, are de minimis right now. They're, the last 1-2% of the punch list type of thing.
Right. Yeah, it's very little left.
Okay,
And other than that,
Wait a minute, the road policy. you're gonna-
the road policy is my third item.
Yep.
That again is, it's still a work in progress. We need to get the legal language straightened out. That seems, as Rod and I have had a number of discussions, that seems to be the biggest obstacle right now, is getting the legal part of it done. We need to meet with the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board we need 3 votes on this, I believe. Or all 3 of us have to vote on the policy before it becomes effective.
Well, how's the
So
timeframe on this?
The timeframe, we will not have it for town meeting in the spring. It's about an 18-month process once the policy's in place.
Well,
So
we've gotta
we've
get,
been-
we've been talking about this for 2 years.
We have. And it's just trying to get together and.
Well, let's
The
do it.
policy places the burden on the town council.
Yeah.
Well, let's,
There's so much work that he's now wrote into
Yep.
into the process. Title exams, reviewing.
well, that's his job, that's what he gets paid for.
I get that. I'm just saying that has to happen, and the planning board needs to be on the same page, and they're not, I think, right now.
Well, we could, they could sub out the attorney's work to a different firm and let them do it. It all comes out of the general fund, so
It sounds good, but there's a huge effort, and the response time has been significant.
so what do we do?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's documented what has to happen and who has to do it. And in the past, we might have, done some of the research and then submitted it for review and things like that. Now it's like, title examiners are involved, and,
I guess what we really need to do is to sit down with the planning director and find out what it is that the issues that they have, not he, but they have, with the policy itself.
right.
And, I mean, we've got a couple of things that we need to sit down with the planner about
And we
anyways.
have roads that we had approved that weren't
Recorded.
that were recorded, and we need to go through the process. Now we have a new process, and there's only so much we could do. Like, we've got the plans prepared. Now comes, the title exam. And in the past, it was done, I don't know, it seemed to be a lot smoother in the past. We got
Well,
it done.
It was a 1-page, 2 paragraphs.
Right.
And now it's like a 10-page document.
Who did that?
Well, it was a bunch, it was 2 or 3 people that collaborated on it.
Who were they?
Well, the town council was one,
Yeah, that's,
the planner
figures,
was
yeah.
another.
Yep.
We had some input, so we need to sit down
Yeah.
and figure out what is it,
Yeah.
the differences that we all have.
Yeah.
And perhaps we can even streamline it again.
Yeah,
The real problem is, that I see, is that for new roads being accepted, okay, the burden is placed on the developer. But for the roads that we had
Yeah.
approved before, they're, none of the abutters are like in an association and have any input, or, collective input. So, we're their advocates right now. We're the ones that are trying to correct a situation that was watched by us, I guess, because we didn't record it. But now with the new process, it requires town council and title examiners to kind of do the work that, with a new road, the associations would be, the burden would fall on them.
Right.
So, and that's the whole point of this policy, is to put all the burden on them to provide all the documentation, and several iterations too, of it too as well. There's some return work that has to happen if you go through each step. So it's quite a burden for them, but understandably so. They're the ones who want to get the town to accept the roads. The benefit for us is, not very big, in terms of cash that we're getting from the state.
but that's Woodlot, the older ones, the Woodlot and
Yeah.
some of the other ones that we accepted at town meeting, but
Right.
weren't recorded. So can
Right.
we do those under the old policy or
We
something?
can, but he's gotta go through the whole process, and do the title examination, and do the work that he's requiring, let's say, Horseshoe Farms, which is the newer one, with an association. They wanna move forward, and the only thing that they've gotta do is, make sure that the policy is accepted by all three boards, so they can move ahead. They don't wanna spend any money without knowing that they're gonna be able to at least get in front of the town to vote. And they would have to also get an amendment to the covenant that they had when they filed the original subdivision. So the planning board doesn't have a problem with amending that, I think, from my discussions with the planner.
But as I recall reading through that policy 2 years ago now, I think it was, one of the concerns, and I think this might be a legitimate one on town council's part, is not walking into a situation where, say, 1/3 of a group decides that they don't want to go down that road and litigation results, which would be expensive for the town, too. So
And major-
the legal Ts and Is have to be in the right spot, for sure, but the bottom line is, right now, I would agree that if town council's workload is such right now that that's not on his top 5 list or something like that to work on, then, maybe he should be bringing in somebody to assist him on that so that we can move forward and get it
Yeah,
done.
because it'll be paid. It's not something that,
Yeah,
The
it's
other
gonna be
issue
paid.
is taking an easement in the road and not the fee in the road. There's
Okay, so
another difference in the past. We
Right,
used
it's
to
much,
take
much like what we have for the
I think that's
enterprise
what you're talking
infrastructure, yeah, through the easement.
So the bottom line is, there's a lot more to be done,
Right.
in order to make it,
We discussed over the years, a number of different times, this topic has come up. And when I first got here, there was, in 2011, there was a moratorium
right.
on accepting roadways because
That went back in
there wasn't
2004.
enough money, the town wasn't giving enough money
Right.
to help support this roadways. And, some years it's 300, some years it's 100, 200, it fluctuates. And, I know there was a supplemental budget to raise Chapter 90, I think, $50,000. I mean, $50 million. I don't think that passed.
Nope.
So, there are a bunch of programs now, shared streets, safe routes to schools, the grant programs that are reopening. We're not eligible for safe routes to schools the schools have to apply for the designation as a safe route school. And they felt they didn't, in my conversation with the schools, they never filed for it because they felt there was only 2 schools that qualified. So, but I asked them if they would, and they are. The deadline for the grant, I think, is December 6th. We're not eligible because we have to be in the program for a minimum of 6 months.
But what do they consider, just Governor Winslow and Daniel Webster?
Daniel Webster.
Okay, but I mean, you do have, the
There are
elementary
people that
school
walk
up by
to
the
the
high
high
school
school
also
and
has
stuff,
walking, there's
right.
at least 3.
Right, so they're gonna file for the
Okay, good.
designation.
And
That
South
will
River has
allow
walking.
us, all right, and then the other one is shared streets.
Yep.
And that right now is bike routes, calming, traffic calming, benches for people to sit, bus stops. We're eligible for that. And we did get money at town meeting to do a little project on the corner of Webster and Ocean.
Yeah.
And actually, the shared streets program, that would be a good project for that area, a shared street. So I've actually got our consultant working on that to tie it in with the funding that we got at town meeting. And we can spruce up that area, little green space, maybe even do the intersection over with some, those high visibility beacons for the crosswalks and stuff. So there's some money available. We hope to get into the game and see if we can get any of those grants, so.
But it's all, but the bottom line is, accepting roads is an added burden to the town, and the town hasn't given any funding for it. It's no different than it was in 2004. It's just that the state has actually given us more opportunities to apply for funding, so.
I mean, I believe the last 2 to 3 town meetings have actually provided a little more money than we had, say, in 2011, 2012.
Oh, yeah. Last year, I think we got 220 last
Yeah.
year, and we got 100 the year before.
We get 350, but some of it went toward the parking lot here.
Right.
The parking lot here, right? We got 100, they got 180 or something for that. It was 3 little projects in that one, I think.
Understanding the town has 4 to 5 million in free cash here. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, we haven't been privy to those numbers, but we are
I don't know that
waiting
anybody's
to
privy
meet
to them
with
right
the
now.
town administrator.
You want me to,
for our-
I'll show you the graph.
I'm sure.
I'll give you the documentation.
So we're gonna be meeting with the town administrator and the interim treasurer
Yeah.
to go over our capital
Turn them
budget.
upside down, shake them, and all the money will come up.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay.
Any other item that is not on the agenda we need to discuss? That we can put on the next agenda?
You see,
Okay, and I guess Anne Marie did include, proposed schedule for 2022.
thanks, Anne Marie.
Okay,
that's subject to change. Things come up, the holidays, she had to work
Yeah.
around all the
There's a lot of
holidays.
holidays I had to work around.
Yep.
So I
Okay.
know we'll do the summer schedule, so,
Yeah.
the July and August meeting will, whether we meet at
our
all.
meeting, our appointment at 6:30,
Yeah, I called him, reminded him,
6:59.
when he told me before, a couple of weeks back, oh yeah, I'll be there. I never heard back from him, so.
And he knew it was here, right?
Pardon me?
He knew it was here.
Yeah, she
Yes,
called and told them.
he's had all the instructions.
Okay.
Okay,
That was
I
suspended.
mean,
Motion to adjourn.
because he's not here, we're not gonna discuss it, although I'd like to discuss it, but I'm not going to. Meeting adjourned, the second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Have a good evening. And happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thanks, Rod.